Good afternoon, Bruin fans, and welcome to episode 4 of the 22 season here with Something Bruin with Coach Cook. And Coach Cook, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing pretty good, Rags. How are you?
I'm doing great. Can't believe it's the middle of September and another Thursday late afternoon here where JV's getting ready to go on the road here and battle Grassfield for their first road game of the season.
Absolutely. We're excited. Our guys again are starting to settle into the season. They're beginning to have pretty good, consistent practice reps. So we're excited to see these guys bounce back into the winning column tonight, potentially against a pretty good JV Grassfield team.
Yes, yeah, and boy, last week definitely served up to last year where it was Western Branch JV at Nancy River JV was a battle. Well, last Thursday was was definitely a battle, and with the nucleus of the JV being being freshmen, I mean, definitely a bright future here for Bruin football.
Absolutely. One of the formulas to success is keeping a team like that together. And that's something that has been a major emphasis for us this season, allowing that freshman class to gel and compete together. And some still dress on Friday nights, but more importantly, we have about 45 plus kids, freshmen wise, that are all competing together on Thursday nights.
Well, that's good. That's great, and it looks like let's see, Brander Stadium here with the new lights, but it also looks like with some speakers there last Thursday. It looks like our sound system looking to be upgraded.
Yeah, our sound system is going to be upgraded. We're still a couple of weeks out from that being completed, but that company is working, very diligently to make sure potentially our next home game after tomorrow night, we're able to host all of our fans and have a great Friday night atmosphere. But we're excited about that.
Yeah, and last week here with the varsity going on the road, neutral field with Nansen Rivers Stadium unable to host with being renovated themselves with the surface. So we go out to Kings Fork and you know open up the district play. We drive down on the opening series. We don't come away with a score, and after the first 12 minutes, it's nothing. Good old Southeastern District football.
Absolutely. Nansman River came in with a lot of energy to compete at a high level, but I was happy how our kids responded. They brought the same energy. We call it juice every now and again, but our boys found a way to stay in the fight. And then once we got rolling, we were ready to go.
Yes, yeah, and I mean, actually, here that first quarter, I know that I'm not part of the coaching staff, but I was a little nervous here for our varsity team being 2 weeks out since the last time they played. So I wasn't surprised that the first quarter here was a little slow here before we found the end zone there in the second quarter.
Correct. Again, we kind of took Granby as a bye week and, early bye week. Some schools have early, some go in the mid of the season, some on the back end, some week zero, and then they play 10 weeks straight. But, we found a way to kind of get back in gear and get the Bruins rolling. Hats off to all three phases of the game. It took all three to really get that spark going for us to compete against a pretty good Nansemond River team.
Yes, and I know that we've talked about it. Their names don't get to be in the paper. The mainly don't come on the huddle highlights, but definitely with the guys up front, the blocking, CJ Frazier, bounces off a guy, changes direction, gets the blocking, 26 yards to the house, and we are on the board. And, a three touchdown quarter there in the second quarter to kind of put us in the driver's seat.
Correct. I was impressed to see our kids, be able to put 21 points up in one quarter. But again, defense had to get stopped. Special teams had to be consistent. And, you mentioned C.J. Frazier. Again, he's competing at a high level. You can tell he's a senior, but he's been poised for this opportunity. On our roster, he's the most seasoned senior, as he was a starter as a freshman, I believe 10 out of 11 games his freshman year. So he's doing a phenomenal job in his role offensively, defensively, as well as special teams.
Yes, and excuse me. And as we talk about the second quarter, I mean, Paul Billups, Trotman, doing a great job here with finding him the ball, hits him for a 35-yard pass, a 16-yard pass, and then Nansen River tries to double team Billups, but then with his athletic ability and Trotman's pass, 46-yard touchdown pass, just the Billups's ability and the passing game just doing well there for the Bruin offense.
Absolutely. Sometimes you got to just put the ball up, let your playmaker go make a play. We always showing our age, but we always talk about the Joe Montana to Jerry Rice. There is no Joe Montana without him. But there's so many great receivers that these guys have resources to look at and how they were able to go out and go get it and compete at a high level. And Quincy did a phenomenal job just letting a playmaker be a playmaker. Paul does a great job. You got a major catch radius, a huge catch radius. So if you get the ball right in that area, that zone, he's going to go get it. In most cases, with that 50-50 ball, he's going to bring it down for 6 or, changing the sticks.
Yeah, and I mean, Trotman under center, CJ Frazier, being a playmaker, Billups being a playmaker, but then we also have Devin Cook, who caught a pass 35 yards to the house. I mean, so Trotman definitely spreading the ball to not just one person.
Absolutely. You also have Christian Copeland, who on a 4th and 12, 4th and 13, was able to possess the reception or the pass from Trotman and extend the drive. That was a pivotal part of our game, really getting that touchdown set up with Billups. But, yeah, Devin Cook also hauled in a touchdown, a 35-yard touchdown. Right now, kind of a slow start for our slot players, but we know deep down inside, eventually they're going to be the guys that's going to be able to make plays down the stretch. As you mentioned, teams are starting to bracket Paul Billups, and double them and so on and so forth. So, we're very happy with the unselfishness of our players on this team. And, everybody is trying to make a play. But yet we celebrate everybody else's success that are, in that position to make plays right now, because we know in due time somebody else is going to be that guy.
Yes, and the other thing is you cannot forget to. I know it doesn't feel like an actual blizzard is coming there in the weather, but we definitely cannot forget to talk about number 9. I mean, how he just extends drives with third downs, 29-yard run on a 3rd and 2 play. Also, 14 carries, 126 yards, and 2 times he took it to the house.
Absolutely. He's every coach's dream. He does a great job running the ball. It's phenomenal catching the ball out of the backfield. What I love the most is he's solid in pass protection. He does a great job there, but you can't deny the blizzard. There's always a warning every week, and he answers the bell, if that makes sense. Runs very, very well behind his pads. Any young back that aspires to be a back, running back at the next level, he's giving you a great tutorial of how to go about that. So we're very appreciative of what Shamik Blizzard has been able to do for us each week.
Yeah, and also here it was in the third quarter. You know, Nancy River stopped us, but then even given our kicking game a time to uh, to go and get a field goal. So not only was our field goal kicker 5 for 5 in extra points, but also adding points on there with a field goal there last week.
Absolutely. I think this goes all the way back to our benefit scrimmage versus IC Norcom and putting them in that tight situation of a game like situation, whether it's winning it or just being prepared. And ever since then, he's been solid. He's been very consistent for us. Right now, he has a total of 11 points on the year so far, and we're only 2 games in or 3 games in going into our fourth game tomorrow night. So Riley has done a great job. He's a student of the game. He wants to get better each week, and we're very pleased with his progress.
Yeah, and Nansen River. I mean, our defense definitely set the tone. I mean, when our offense got the first possession, got the drive down, didn't get in the end zone. I mean, our defense was shutting down Nansen River, and there was a questionable call at fourth down, but it gave Nansen River a new set of downs where they were on our side of the 30. They ended up taking it in. They ended up scoring a 2 point. I mean, so they did kind of have momentum there at the end of the third quarter where it was just 24-8.
Correct. Our defense did a great job all night. We still could get better. Our message, Coach Black kind of shared with our guys throughout the week is talent to get you victories, but discipline wins championships. So, again, we expect to not allow the opponent to score, but that's the name of the game, football. We can only do but so much. But our defense did a great job. I think they kind of showed they improved from week 0 versus Churchland. I'm not quite sure in the stat column. You may know, Rags, but I believe we only gave up around 50 yards total offense or around that from a rushing standpoint. But our defense did a great job, at least responding to can we get better. Again, not playing Granby. We had 1 week off, and now we had to see what we look like 2 weeks later from our last opponent. But again, defense is getting better each week, being coached up well by our defensive staff, and we're going to continue to see improvement.
Yeah, and the thing is you know, I got the stats from Huddle, you
Okay.
know, but the interesting stat is a big donut here
Yeah.
for our defense here with passing, and yes, I'll be honest with you. I wanted to leave Kings Fork Road with a shutout, but hey, we got a 30-point win, so a win's a win. But
Correct.
boy, how about a donut there for Nansen Rivers passing yards and 2 for 10 on third downs, and our defense forcing 3 turnovers.
Yeah, that's very impressive. Our defense did a great job. I tell you, I'm really pleased with our linebacker play. We're getting better each week. Our guys are fitting well, they're reading well, or a lot better. And again, that's like the core of our defense. So the more they show and improve each week, the better we're going to be down the stretch. But yes, very, very happy with Terrence Mack play. He was one of the leading tacklers last week. So again, we're seeing kids kind of grow within our system defensively. I want to say we were kind of spoiled a year ago with our linebacker play. This year we're spoiled with our secondary. Those guys are doing a phenomenal job on the back end of our defense. But each week we're getting better, and that's what we want to see. We don't want to peak too soon, but we do want to see progression.
Yeah, and that leads right into our next point here. I know that normally we do talk about our offense and not really talk about defense, but we have Jazier Priester, that plays on both sides of the ball, but they're on defense, 4 tackles, 1.5 TFLs. And for those of you that don't know what TFL stands for, it's tackles for loss, one forced fumble. Then you have Terrence Mack, 4 tackles, 1 TFL, 1 fumble recovery, and Deontay Brickhouse, 2.5 tackles, 1.5 TFL, and 1 sack. So there's just 3 of the 11 there that's on our defense, but doesn't even talk about the defensive secondary.
Absolutely. But, I think I like to look at our defense this year and our offense. They're role players. These
Yeah.
guys are doing a great job just doing what they're asked to do. Don't really need one or two to be above or beyond. Just be right where you need to be at the snap, or based on the formation and so on and so forth. Love Brickhouse play last week. Again, he was very disruptive. Did what he was, carried out the assignment that he was coached to do, and just very pleased. We talked about Jazari Priester on that front end, playing that 3 tech for us. He did a phenomenal job. Now, our back end, again, our corners, Parker, Cook, our safeties, Billups, and Frazier. Again, those guys are doing a phenomenal job when it comes to just setting the edge or setting the umbrella, I like to call, which is the secondary, and preventing anything over top of them. So our defense is doing a great job, and carrying out the things that we asked them to do week in and week out.
Yeah, and I mean our total team offensive stats: 390 total yards, 204 passing, 186 rushing. 1 for 6 third down, but definitely like the two the two fourth down conversions.
Absolutely. Again, passing wise, it's great to see Quincy getting, going and starting, like as you mentioned earlier, Rags, distributing the ball to the guys on the offense. Shamik ran very hard. Our O line blocked very well, and we lost a player early in the game, but we had 2 guys that kind of stepped up. That was Jalen Hopkins and Mr. Dixon, Ethan Dixon. Those 2 young men, one senior, one sophomore, did a great job for us to keep our offense going and moving forward. And we were very pleased with those guys. But yes, we had a great job as far as the offensive game plan. And once we got into our rhythm, it was pretty much allowing Quizzy and Shamik and Paul and CJ just kind of take the reins and go for it.
Yes, yeah, and it's definitely a nice win there for the team. Especially since hadn't played since the Churchland game on the field. But I'm sure with school being back in session, and I'm sure the kids, and I'm sure the student body and the faculty and the administration is definitely ready for varsity home football game tomorrow night.
Yes, I think we all are. We were hoping that we had Granby, not to keep reaching back to that particular game, but that was our home opener.
Right.
And now I think, a lot of our community, our school community, they're excited, which is one thing that I like is the kids are in school. Had we played Granby, I don't think we would have been in school that Friday, as far as the student body. But we're excited. We got a pretty good Grassfield team coming in. We always want to give credit and respect to every opponent that we're going to see or compete against. But if we come out, we play a good brand of Bruin football, we should be in a comfortable position, by the end of the night.
Yeah, and now I've seen. Rashad, I know that we've talked about it. We maybe even talked about it when we started this last year, but I know that we've definitely talked about it here in previous episodes this year. I mean, just the following here of Bruin Nation, Bruin Pride, and with it being the first home game, is there anything for a pep rally tomorrow during the school day? Is that still goes on?
Right. I'm not sure. We
Oh,
got a phenomenal principal and SCA, and all those things that kind of make the school, go. Right now, our focus is just getting ready for 7 o'clock kickoff. We're excited for our kids. Again, they get to play in front of their peers. Our parents that support our program get to sit in our stadium and cheer our kids on. So, right now we're just kind of finishing up the final things that we need to do in order to be prepared for tomorrow night. And then when 7 o'clock is here and that ball is kicked off, it's time to play a good brand of Bruin football.
Yes, and not only is it a district game, but also it's against another Group 6
Yes.
school.
Yes, absolutely. We told our kids last week, district play starts, a week ago, basically, but it started. And every team is going to bring their best. We need to bring ours. So, again, this will be another test. How do we respond, coming out of a win with Nansman River, and then the next week, how do we look, so that's our focus this week. Able to move on, the ability to move on, and get ready for our upcoming opponent. And I think our guys are pretty much, ready to go. And we're not looking, Mark, too far ahead. Our thing is that 1-0 mentality, it sticks. And right now we got Grassfield, and that's what we're focusing on.
Yes, and also here with our Bruin flashback, and this talks about how deep the Bruin roots are. We're here with 2022. We are spotlighting some Bruin football seasons here that end in twos or sevens. Last week we talked about 92, 02, and this week here we were talking about 72 and 82, and Mr. Brander, who lives in Florida now, but I got his cell phone, and he's definitely interested in how we're doing on Friday nights. And here's the text that I got from him. Please tell Rashad for me that he's doing a great job. I'm impressed the way he's dealing with the total student and not just the football player. So here's the guy that I know. For me, when I was a student, I didn't talk to Mr. Brandon that much,
Right.
but I mean, here he was a principal when you and I were students, and here he is. He might not be living in the local area anymore, but he's definitely tuned in to how Bruin football is.
Yes, that really means a lot. At the end of the day, you hire good people sometimes, and you just trust and hope that they carry out your goal, vision, and path. And that's all I've done with my coaching staff. That's been my sole purpose as a coach. Pour into the complete athlete, not just the football player. We want our young men to graduate out of this program, transitioning to the real game of life, and have some tools to go with them, and be equipped with things that we know what life is going to give, but maybe when they're tested, they can always revert back to what we provided within this program, and apply it to that circumstance or situation. So thank you, Mr. Brander, for those kind words. Now, I did get a chance to speak to him quite a bit, but it was on the sideline or in the school, asking about how we look on a Friday night. Outside of that, that was it. But it really means a lot, as you mentioned earlier, Mark, that our community is really, really all spread a lot. We're spread out all over the region and the country, but they're dialing back in and what we're doing here at Western Branch, and that's awesome. It really means a lot.
Yeah, and he talked about how he, by 72, he was already in the main office here as one of the administrators,
Or
and
a lot
Harry
of
West
hats.
took over the team. But when we wanted to talk about the 82 season, Coach Arculin was
Yes.
leading the team then, and talked about how in 82 they were 5-4-1, a very competitive and balanced Southeastern District, and back then it was like when you and I were students. The Southeastern District was Portsmouth and Chesapeake schools, and Coach Arculin just talked about a few of the Bruins there, Pat Barlow, Joey Owens, and Eddie Gale, and talked about how Pat Barlow went to Guilford College and then went to go be an officer in the Army. And Guilford College, for those fans out there, that's part of the ODAC. And so
Correct.
here's a former coach, wasn't there when we were there, but gave me a whole list of about that 82 season. And Coach Arculin, he definitely tries to make every home game,
Mm-hmm.
as he doesn't live in the immediate area, but with being part of Bruin Nation, he tries to make home games there on Friday nights.
Absolutely. I believe he's somewhere kind of Midwest or West Coast. Doesn't matter, but that kind of ties into the broad, what is it, broad, wide range, there it
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
of support that we have. Again, it's awesome to be in great company, all the coaches that have come before me. And to me, this kind of ties back into, our guys that have paved the way for the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. Their voices should be heard as well. So, that's an awesome list. Wish I could meet those guys, and just very thankful that we're able to highlight not just the most recent years of Western Branch, but we could really kind of accurately go back to, like you said, the 70s and the early 80s, and still be able to highlight our football program within that capacity as well. So it's very awesome. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh no, I just wanted to point out here with we'll get to the 97 team here in another episode or so, but definitely it's 35 years since my
Yes,
family moved to Western Branch.
right.
Actually, it was August of '87, and with my brother being a freshman, a way to meet new people. And, he started off with JV football,
There you go.
and so just right off the bat, my family started following Bruin football here 35 years ago.
Yep, yep. Now, I'm not gonna show my age, but when I moved up to Chesapeake. But awesome, man. Yes, absolutely. And again, it's a culture that we're trying to bring back. I don't want to change anything. I just want to return back the tradition of what our community were very proud of many, many years ago, and even most recent years. I know 2012, to my understanding, had a pretty good season. And as you mentioned, we'll tap into those years as well, leading up to the 2022 previous season we just had. But all in all, it just feels good to be back and a part of a community that has so much pride, in West Branch High School, not just football, but track and basketball and, all the other sports, soccer and baseball that has been provided throughout the years here at Western Branch.
Yeah, I mean that's right. Here with it being the fall, and yes, this episode here we are promoting Bruin football, but there's, I mean, field hockey. I remember here when Western Branch didn't even have a field hockey program,
Gotcha.
and last year they went to the state championship game, and I know that everybody wants to win, and they were crushed of not winning, but they were the first Bruin field hockey team to make it to the state championship. And even what I saw on Facebook the other day, they're still in the top 10 area polls. So definitely here the fall sports
Yeah.
here for Western Branch are definitely off to a good season, not only in the classroom, but also in the athletic field.
Correct. And we commended our kids yesterday about week two, and going to in the classroom and how they're handling, 100% back in person, if you will. And to me, sometimes those are the little things that go a long way. Just knowing that we notice your effort and your expectations, not only winning on a Friday or a Thursday night, but also winning in the classroom. And that's Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday for some students that have, AP classes and honors classes and things of that nature. But again, we care about the whole athlete, the entire student athlete, and that's the platform that I envisioned we could do here at Western Branch. And I'm just thankful I'm able to carry out that vision.
Yeah, and I'd just like to point out, last Saturday, I know that when my brother went to William and Mary, there were no lights,
Right.
so I'm sure it was pretty exciting here to see lights there at Zabel Stadium and Desmond here being in his first home game.
Yep, absolutely, and it was as advertised. Campbell was a pretty good game. He did not play, but he dressed for his home game, and those are just the things that as freshmen when you come in, it's kind of where you are. But a phenomenal game. There was a young man from Deep Creek that became I want to say the CAA All Player of the Week with 3 interceptions. But I coached against him in 2020 COVID season, maybe spring 21, and I believe his name is Jalen Jones. But he had a big time game that really kind of turned the tide for William and Mary to get things going. But what a big victory against a top tier opponent. And again, as we mentioned, we got a lot of Bruins that are out there on Saturdays now competing at a high level. So we're excited to see a lot of these guys continue their education, but also continue their athletic endeavors at the next level.
Yeah, I think Caleb Broadbent there with Norfolk State. I mean,
Yes,
they've not only been on the road, but they've also have had brutal opponents. But
yes,
I think they're opening at home
correct,
this weekend.
correct. They open up this Saturday, home against Hampton University. It's the Battle of the Bay, so I know it's going to be excited, to see that see that stadium packed. But yeah, they had a good start, and what I mean by a good start, they're playing quality opponents in Marshall and JMU. That really tells a lot about your team and what it could look like in their conference, which is the MEAC. So, we're excited to see how they kind of bounce back and, go from there. Christopher Newport had a home game last week, and they came up on the other end of a victory. But I just know it's a matter of time that Coach Crawley gets those guys going and heading in the right direction as well.
Yeah, and yesterday with my work schedule, I was working a little bit later yesterday, so I was able to have Brandon Addison on
Yes,
and just listening to his story of once he graduated from Western Branch, he went to a D2 school in West Virginia, played there, but doors opened for him to come back home, be part of Old Dominion. You know,
correct.
didn't hold his head down. Just kept grinding, and and ended up being part of an Old Dominion team that won their first bowl game there in 2016.
Correct, absolutely. He shares a lot of stories. When I was growing up or starting to teach, actually, when I was starting to get an education, there it is. I told our kids, at the end of the day, make sure your story is worth listening to. And in most cases, that's a person that has a successful story, not necessarily the outcome, but he they fought through adversity. It could be male or female, but there's always a good story when you can overcome, something that maybe you never saw happening. You don't have to graduate or finish, but hey, if you come out on the other end, any kid or any person should be a sponge to a story that, not only they can benefit from, but maybe, hold on to in case they face the same thing in their time of need or so on and so forth. But, Brandon had a pretty good career. I know he likes going by Coach Addy, but Coach Addy had a pretty good career at his stops, and he found a way to make a way to finish on top. And a lot of our kids really listen to what he says because of that, and it's all paying forward now. So I'm very pleased to have him as a part of our staff.
Yeah, and as we wrap up, and I know that we've more this year. We've kind of highlighted the JV program, but I
Correct.
definitely want to give a shout out to Jolliffe and Western Branch
Yes.
Middle as their football programs are starting to form into their teams, and they'll be starting games here, later on this month or into October?
I want to say October 4th. I was able to go over and take Jazari Priester with me. It's a tradition here in our program that we go over and we talk to the middle school guys with our leaders of the team, our captains of the team, and Jazari was able to pour into them. And his message was, win in the classroom, trust, and be coachable. It was awesome to hear him speak to our young men and watch them lock in and really listen to what he had to share. I also gave some words of encouragement that were very close to what Priester said. So my next opportunity is to hopefully within the next week get over to Jolliffe. It's so hard. It's so easy. We're right here by Western Branch,
Right.
but we also got to make that sacrifice and get on the other side of Western Branch or by area and see our young men that are competing over there. But yeah, we're excited. I think October 4th, the season kicks off. They are now playing on Tuesday nights versus Wednesday a year ago. I'm not sure why or how, but we're just adapting and adjusting to that. And any home game, whether it's Western Branch or Jolliffe, our coaching staff and our players will be there to cheer them on to victory.
Yeah, and having Jazir go with you, I mean, hey, if I was in middle school and I had to listen to a guy that's 6'8", I would definitely be tuned in.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's one of those old school movies, right? But yes, but even then, when he speaks, everybody listens. That's even within our program right now, and that's what you want. You want a guy that through action, not words. He shows how to get it done. So when he really speaks, everybody listens and locks in, and they carry out what is being asked of them. So we're thankful to have Jazari Priester be a part of this program and this team.
Yes, and Rashad, appreciate your time, and
Yes,
Mike Sharp here giving us this platform. I know that we've gone over to what our normal time is usually, but there was a lot
yep.
of stuff to get to. So any final words here as Varsity has their home opener tomorrow night?
Not at all. Just Bruin Nation. The ones that are local, the ones that want to travel, please come cheer these young men on to victory. They do a lot of good things right, and we're very pleased and excited in the direction that our football program is continuing to go. That's it for me.
Yeah, and just a little reminder, everybody, still no tickets in person, so go to fan.com. I think it's $5 for students, $7 for adults. Or if you can't make it and you don't want to tune into Twitter or anything, you can go to NFHS, and there's a season pass to stream the game. So
Correct.
Coach Cook, definitely great to see the team in person last week. I was trying to get the JV there last Thursday since they were at home, but I
Correct.
know that Nansen River had some traffic issues, so a little bit late. So I'll come out to another JV Bruins game, but definitely off to a great start here for Bruin football.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. We appreciate the platform, that you're putting on for us. And, I'm excited. I can't wait to get over to Grassfield this evening and watch Coach Thomas and Coach E kind of coach these young men up. And then all the coaches that are able to travel, continue to pour in and develop into our young men. So one day on Friday nights, they're ready to rock and roll.
Yes, and so all right. Well, hey, that's a wrap here for this episode, Bruin Nation. Here with another episode of Something Bruin here with Coach Cook. And if you're able to get out to Grassfield tonight at 6, support the JV Bruins. But if not, then definitely tomorrow night, 7 p.m., Brandon Stadium, as the varsity football Bruins have their first home game of the season. So,
Absolutely.
all right, Bruin Nation, we're out.
Absolutely. Go